So I'll share the PPT. Wait, give it. Good morning. Welcome to the class. Today we will discuss two units. Unit number 19, that is Levin's field theory of personality, and Carl Rogers' person-centric theory of personality. Last week we discussed about Dollard Miller's stimulus response theory of personality, and then George Kelly's personal construct theory. George Kelly used more scientific approach. It is cognitive approach. We are having two theories regarding the cognition. Please 1 minute, there is noise from outside. Sorry, there was a disturbance from outside. Okay, now regarding Kelly, we are discussing it is a cognitive approach, and another cognitive approach is put Levin's field theory. These two are very scientific approaches. Out of all the theories that we are having, the Levin's field theory is considered to be very complex, very difficult for even beginners in the psychology to understand this concept, because he tried to explain everything in terms of geometrical and mathematical expressions and the diagrams. So if you want to describe a person, we describe in verbose these elements like cognitive, behavioral, and the affect or emotional aspects, and other aspects we consider. But here, he is not in favor of verbal explanation of the concepts. Verbal explanation of the concept. He wanted to explain in a more scientific way. He used geometry and topology, space, field, universe, and boundaries, and regions, subregions, cells. Like that, he classified or categorized the human behavior as well as the personality. That's why for the beginners it is considered to be very difficult, but we try to make it more simple in order to understand this concept. But it is a highly scoring subject. Because of mathematical nature, you can score good marks in these two, Kelly's and Irwin's theories. Kelly concentrated on the constructs, how our mind hypothesis about objects, persons, events, and about the life. These constructs are rather managed, organized, hierarchy fashion it is arranged. how that molds our behavior, how we have to change it. He says that we have to change our constructs in order to be a good, healthy human being, good, healthy psychology. Levin now concentrates on the diagrammatic explanation. Before studying his theory, let us see his inspiring personalities, how he influenced the psychology. Levin unified theory, the word unified field theory, unified field itself says it is a scientific field, electrical field, magnetic field. So the unified field is used in physics by Einstein. He is highly influenced by Einstein, and he applied that into his theory. And secondly, he is influenced by Gestalt psychology. Gestalt psychology says that whole is greater than sum total of the parts, meaning that there is some additional characters that are attributed to the whole. Holistic approach is required. When you the Gestalt therapy is also there. Subsequently, it was developed, and then he's also studied psychoanalysis of Freud. He is highly influenced by that. Here we also see certain features of defense mechanisms like regression. He explained in personality development. And Merono is, most of you might be knowing, those who are into the counseling field, he advocated role play. Lot of role plays he advocated, and that is incorporated for the child development and child psychology. People use them, but now more or less every therapy uses role plays like single chair technique, two chair technique, like so many concepts they use, and there is a drama element in that. That will make you aware of the other's psychology, others' perspective, in order to understand others and in order to understand yourself. This role play is used in CBT, BT, DBT, many places it is used. So coming back, how he influenced the psychology with this, he is basically a social psychologist. He is called as father of modern social psychology. He contributed to the change management, and he also the approach of field theory, approach of action research model, simultaneous research as well as action expression. That so many new elements he introduced and contributed to the development of psychology as well as social psychology, fundamental psychology as well as social psychology. So the field theory in psychology is a unique contribution. How his theory is his contribution influenced other psychologists include Abraham Maslow, who is considered to be father of the humanistic psychology, and Donald Miller. Those we have already seen. Role he has given about the habit formation and the drive theory. There he got influenced by Levin. And Bronfenbrenner is also given a topographical presentation of the human personality. That is very interesting. Then the Perel is the person who gave Gestalt therapy to the world. Many places it is used. Zegornik, anybody having idea about Zegornik? Zegornik is Russian. He is until now Zegornik effect. Zegornik effect is considered the person that is a personality, growth mind personality, and the personality once they start the work, they won't rest till it is completed. So in friend circle, many people call he is a Zegornik, meaning that he is very determined and perseverance will be there to finish the task. She proved that Levin gave a theory saying that a particular task, we will discuss those tasks. The particular task is unfinished, kept left unfinished by a person. It will be disturbing him frequently because it is unfinished task. Always mind clings to this unfinished task and bringing it to the consciousness and disturbing your performance of other tasks. That theory she proved. Zygarnik proved. That's a very, very interesting theory, contribution by the Zygarnik. Anybody interested can read it. Very useful. Now coming to the field theory, I will announce that. Manohar sir, are you there, sir? Today? Sorry, not. Now field, field theory.
Yeah.
Now there is geo. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah. This field theory, consider that there is a terrain. There is a terrain. There are different elements in that. Maybe in scientific physics and chemistry, physics and other sciences, it is frequently described. Also gravitational field, like that. There, it is a totality of different coexisting elements which are interdependent and dynamic. They will be changing and it will be constantly flowing. So from this field, if he applied this concept to the psychology and told that this concept of field is changing. That's why you are also supposed to change. Your structures also going on changing or merging or disappearing. Structural elements. This is his contribution. So while telling that behavior, he says that behavior is fundamentally analyzed and understood from the present moment. What is the present moment? Is psychology is what are the factors in his mind, what are his cognitive elements in the mind, what are behavioral tasks in his mind, what are the emotional elements in that, what is the positive, negative attributes there. And these different elements at that particular point of time, living in the present moment, like he is also saying that behavior is understood when you understand the different these coexisting facts in the human psychology. So even though he says that past and future role is there, more importance is given to the present time, current time. So geometry, I told that we will see. So there is a possible movement in terms of the space. So visualize the planets, how they move. Similarly, here also, our psychological elements will be in the process of locomotion. They will be moving. So there is a life for a person. There should be a field in which he will be moving. That field he called as a space. Especially that space is called a life space. Please remember this point. In this life space, there is a the geographical or the topological representation is there. We will discuss. Then there are certain concepts, different structural element. Every personality theory should focus on the structure of the personality, dynamics of the otherwise functions of the personality, elements. He also discussed them, and the structural components like person or the self and non-self. There are certain elements in that. This is the class of structural concept. Again, in the person, there is inner person and outer person. And then in that inner person, there are certain subdivisions like cells. This person is existing in a psychological field or environment. In that psychological element, all dynamic aspects will be living or existing. Suppose you got an idea to eat some food. Hunger is now your need. Satisfying that hunger is the need. That hunger will create certain positive, negative elements in your psychological environment, whether to achieve it or not to achieve it, whether it is already fulfilled and to reject it. Before that, you accept. Once it is fulfilled, you neglect, or be neutral to it. There are type of force is attributed. Now there is a desire to go and eat in specifically particular hotel. For that, a force is attached to it. That force, for that force, there will be resistance also. This resistance is more than the favorable force. Then you will be moving forward. The locomotion establishes and we will be moving in that field and achieving that one. If barriers are more, you will not be achieving. These barriers are more than of the more forceful component, then there can be conflict in you also. This is how we explain. Then topology, I told you, there are certain inner person, outer person, external. Then there is a psychological field out that physical and sociological environment. So there are certain layers in that there is partition, boundaries are there. The boundary thickness also plays role. He explains the boundary thickness. While putting certain linkages, using arrow gives one meaning, not having arrow gives another meaning. These arrows are given to the vectors. Vector means force. In vector analysis is there. Science graduates might be knowing here that one. So this concept he introduced here. So boundary inside, boundary outside. If contact is there, there will be communication. If contact is not there, there will be no communication. Then comes, there are certain, I already told you, one certain task is emerged into your psychology or your mind to fulfill that need. There will be attraction and the repulsion. That is called as valency, positive and negative attraction towards that. Then certain energy will be attached to that. That energy, we use the word force. There will be resisting force or restraining force or encouraging force or driving force. The interplay between or among these will mold our personality. Then the situation, he says that everything should be explained in the current moment, in the current situation. What do you mean by situation? In a situation is explained in terms of the geometry and mathematical equations. Space, in terms of space, life space. Life space is nothing but your personality plus psychological environment where the polarities are there. Polarities like attraction and repulsion, driving and restraining. These forces are that is called as psychological environment. The person will be having the energy. Inner person will be having the need and then the energy and some processes in the inner person. In the outer person, within the person, the outer person will be giving these encouraging forces, discouraging forces, or restraining forces, or driving forces, or the attraction and repulsion towards the need. This is explained by Kurt Lewin in terms of the field theory. Overall, having said this, the abstract, the concept of the field theory here, I also gave certain examples. I will try to explain in terms of the diagrams in the next few slides. Please concentrate on that. It is very interesting. So overall, this field theory of personality is integrated system. So he says that all these internal the parts, he calls them the understanding in internal personality in terms of parts is called differentiation. He tried to differentiate the personality, external environment, psychological environment, not external, the psychological environment also he tried to explain differentiation, meaning certain parts. Parts are interconnected. There are boundaries to that. There is contact and communication among these elements. This is how he explained. That's why it is integrated system of the topology and the person and the psychology and environment and the psychology. What is there in the outside of the psychological environment? Social and physical environment. So there are, if you fields, this field, if you want to separate, one is psychological environment, non-psychological environment. In non-psychological environment, there is society, there is physical environment. In psychological environment, there are certain forces, what we told, restraining and encouraging forces, and the attraction and the repulsion. And this is within, if you see, go deeper, there is a person. Person is there in the psychological environment. Person and psychological environment are surrounded by the physical and the social environment. Once this is clear, we will proceed. If not clear also, I try to make it more clear in the next slide. Now, basic concept, I am giving the field theory. Please try to understand. There is first slide, if you see, 1 minute. Okay, first slide, if you see here, is it visible? The red light? Anybody, please?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes, sir. This I try to enlarge. Right. This is structure of personality. In that personality, there is a person here. There is a person here. Around this person, there is psychological environment. E is called a psychological environment. This psychological environment in the foreign hull is nothing but physical and social environments. There is physical social environment which is influencing you. It is creating needs for you. Looking at the shop, you will get the desire to purchase a cloth, dress, eat food. This foreign hull will be influencing this personality. But there is no boundary here. So it should go through psychological environment, attraction and repulsive forces that come into the personality. Personality tells here, Baba, I want food. Then there it creates repulsion or attraction or driving force or restraining force or the barrier and go to the hull and hull, foreign hull or physical social environment, interact with other, go to the hotel, eat the food. This is the process of personality. This is called as structure of personality. What are the elements? P, E, foreign. P plus E is called life space. P plus E is called a life. Right? This personality P, I am going to discuss here. Here I am going to discuss this personality. This P part only. This P part. What it is saying, you see. Here, E part, psychological environment, I am going to discuss here. This hull part, I am going to discuss here. Please remember this. Hull part is discussed here. P part is discussed here. And E part is discussed here. Okay. First coming to the person. Person is there. Around that there is environment. Psychological. Don't think that is psychological environment. This hull is physical environment. This is psychological environment. Certain actions are taking place there. Positive and negative. So person, I told you there are two differentiation. Again, coming to how person is differentiated, outer person and inner person. What inner person is having? Inner person getting a need. Once a need arises, it creates certain energy, attaches energy to it. And then it creates certain tension. This tension is transformed here. This inner person differentiation here. It creates certain cells, peripheral cells and the central cells. Depending on the importance, depending on the immediacy, these cells will get activated. Each action that is called as a task here, right? Here. Now I am coming back. This inner person is differentiated as outer person, inner person. Inner person is having a need, energy, tension, and processes, psychological process like thinking, understanding, and analyzing, or decision making, forgetting, remembering. Every psychological process is in the inner person. Need is also there. How to achieve plan is also. Please remember. For this plan, the obstructions and encouragements are there in the psychological environment. Here, we will see now. What is there in the inner person? What is there? Just briefly, I have seen. There is another slide we discuss in depth. Outer person is having two independent systems of perceptual system and the motor system. The hull is there. Once you see a sweet or panipur, some eatable in the environment, it generates a need. Where from? There is no direct contact between. It is coming through outer person. From where from outer person is getting? From the environment. Outer, this is physical environment, psychological environment, outer person, inner person. Right? This, there is a combined inner person is perception, but by seeing the outer world is creating a perception. And inner process are being created, and to achieve it, motor system activities takes place here. This is inner person and outer person. Inner person is having a need, tension, energy, and process. Outer person, only two independent systems are there. This is P is called as the perceptual system, understanding what is the need, what is the tension, what is the energy, what is the process. Also the need and eat, what I have to eat, what are the positive or driving and restraining forces or repulsive attractive forces, what are there here? That perceptual system is understanding and passing on information. Here the process is going on. What is there inside? Depending on each task and the subtasks. I want to eat food. What particular item is? Say jalebi. For that, in which hotel? Right? In which hotel I have to purchase that? What type of jalebi I have to eat? These are specifics are for there is sub-cells will be created. Major task is there, sub-cells are also like that. The system is arranged within the cognitive picture here. So this is how inner picture. There are cells. Please understand them as a person. This inner person is also called as IP. Here, outer person, there is nothing like. Generally, we call it as a PM system, right? This is called as external. Otherwise, we won't use the external, but social and physical environment, foreign hull or hull. Coming back, having understood the differentiation, subdivisions of the person, we are going to the, around the person, there are certain activities, right? There are boundaries, thickness is there, it cannot go inside, then it creates conflict and a problem in the understanding also. There are certain vectors and there are certain characters like vectors and valence. What is valence? Valence is nothing but attraction and repulsion, positive, negative. And what are the vectors? Vectors are nothing but forces, positive, negative forces. We won't call them as positive, negative. Valency, we use positive, negative. In vectors, we call them as the driving forces or repulsive forces. Right? There are two elements. And then, depending on the task here, there is a desire to play game. There is a task arrived. Right? Importance is there, it goes inside. Unimportant is it stays the peripheral side. Once that is there, for that there will be certain valence created, attraction and repulsion. No, not now. Let us go tomorrow. Something like that. This valence will be there. Then vector gaze, okay, I like it more than any other item in this world. So let us go. Some force is generated. This is driving force or restraining force will be. That game, whatever game is there, it could be football, chess, or kabaddi, something. So let us say 3 items are externally, internally. So for that, there is a cell created. For that, there will be region created of games region will be there. For that game, there are 3 games are there. What are they? Football or cricket or kabaddi, say. Or chess, 4 games are there. 4 sub-regions will be created. For each sub-region, we will be having certain vector, repulsive or the driving forces will be there, or restraining or forces will be there. So, how this is differentiated now, the psychological environment here, I am differentiating here. See, differentiation of psychological environment in terms of regions and subregions. Here, regions are, these are regions. These are subregions. In this region, there are subregions are there. Right? That's so for this is game. There are different games that are there. For this, there will be valency and vector. Right? They are attributed to this. So depending on that, you will be moving in the psychological field. Where you are moving in the psychological field. In the psychological field, and this put together in the self system. This is self system. P plus is self system is nothing but life force, life space you are moving in order to realize your dreams, desires, goals, likes, everything. This is the basic structure, topology, say, we can understand. This non-psychological system differentiation I explained. Now coming back to the individual aspects. Same, I'm going to elaborate that one. Inner person we have seen. PM system and IP cells are there. Need, tension, energy, and process are there. Here, that person is explained here. This is person explained. Life space is nothing but E plus P. Same. Now, different elements I try to explain you for your understanding. This is a topology, roadmap. This is P. E and Hull are non-self. E and Hull are non-self. Right? Psychological environment is E plus P. Psychological environment, the psychological field is psychological environment plus or psychological universe or life space is nothing but E plus P. Non-P is other than P. These two are non-self or non-person. Now, what is person? Self. Internally, there is energy, wish, drive, motive, belief, values. So many things are there. There are two independent systems in the P, inner P, and central cells and peripheral cells. Just I am reviewing again. Outer person, here outer person, there are perceptual system, motor system, and physical action takes place from this. Next comes psychological environment. This is like white part. White part is psychological environment. This is the psychological reality. This is a larger area than the P. This together, life space plus E, together determine our, actually it should not be there. P plus E, life space determines our personality because encouraging forces and the obstructing forces are there in the psychological environment. There is separation of boundary. They sometimes you use the word mesh also. Levin, these sometimes you call them P and C also as regions. So let us confine to the cell only in order to have proper understanding. P plus is the life space, and this is nothing but the total psychological facts are that this is the situation. This is what we have to understand in the current moment in order to forecast or predict the person or personality. Non-E. This is non-E. This is E. Non-E is non-psychological, physical, social world, foreign law. This is also the study of the hull is called as psychoecology. Non-P, other than P is E plus hull, right? E plus hull, you have to do non-E, you have to. Now, the activities, how it goes on, I already told that there is a boundary, this is a P, and there is non-P. It includes hull and psychological environment. E plus hull is non-P. Now, coming to the person.
Can you expand it, sir? It is a little difficult to visualize.
Right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Here, the P is nothing but complex energy. This, what is having here is unified perceptual system, already it is independent, perceives only one fact at a fact is nothing but a particular task at work to finish. It could be need or a desire, whim or whatever. So it is IP is inner person. There are need, tension is there, and Motor system is also independent. One action only taken at a time. These abilities are part of it. This IP, inner person differentiation, two personal facts are there like games and eating food, sleep and eating. There are two things are there. Which one you will take? Two are there. There will be two regions or the two cells created here. Hunger and job, two cells are created, two tasks, two cells. Each cell is a system here. No direct contract between inner P and the E, psychological environment. It should go through PM, activity area. Now coming back, psychological environment. Here, around the P, there is psychological environment. Actually, it is connected. Levin says that it should be inside. There should be gap here. It should not connect. So here, physical reality, if you want to work, play, some emotions, fears are there. There are certain here, this inner P, whatever it perceives, here it is creating certain regions in order to accomplish them. Work one is there, one is there, one plea is there, one emotion, fear is there. Only one could be there. Suppose if fear is highly influencing and highly determining, highly high intensity, everything is filled. Entire P, this E is filled by this E. After some time, it gets differentiated into subregions. Once that intensity reduces, aspects of how to tackle it, how to face it, whether to face it or surrender, right? For and against should be created in this region. So one work is there, you want to cook, you also attend my class. Two tasks are there. For two tasks, two regions are created here. Task work, one region is created. For example, this is work region. In this, I have to do 4 or 5 activities or 2 activities. For that, sub-regions are created. This is how this is. For one game, chess and football, one region is created. This is one region. And sub-regions, SR, 2 SRs are created, will be created in this. If this is the region, 2 sub-regions will be created here. One fact, one region. New fact, another new region will be created. The regions will appear, once accomplished, disappear, semi-accomplished, and another need requires this, it will be attached to that and merged into the other region. So that activity takes place here. Fact is a task depending on the inner personal requirement. Now coming to the foreign hull, this is very, very important. Foreign hull, study of foreign hull called psychoecology. It can alter locomotor system radically. Then it is a permeable membrane, means if you see connectivity, there is connectivity between these two. Now I will go back. Here there is connectivity between the psychological environment and the hull physical environment. And person and the psychological environment are linked, but not the physical and the social.
Sure.
This we have to understand basically. Also, need vary the tension. Don't try to explain tension in the psychological environment here. It is not here. Only regions, valency vectors are only there. Force and ferrogonization only are there. But all basics are here in the inner person. Don't try to tell that here this need will be attached to what? Attached to valency or vector, right? But not 100% attachment to the tension. Its need is more attached to vector and valence in order to realize it. So when this tension, once a need created, certain regions are created here. The tension is distributed into the regions, cells, 4 or 5 cells. Suppose fur is in the 3 cells, agonist is in the 3 cells, say, for example. There is a tension. So ultimately, ultimate goal of the personality or the tension between these three in this region of three should be balanced with the region of three. Otherwise, accomplish for that you have to accomplish. To accomplish, you need energy. For that accomplishment, you need processes. In this process, ultimate goal is bringing the equilibrium in the system in terms of the tension. If you read the structure function analysis, structure functional theory of personality, unit number 2, it says there, the tension, stress. Please read that unit, you can better understand. Coming back to here, psychological field, life space is P plus E. Here you are navigating. P is dependent on E, is psychological environment, valency, and vector, for and against, and the forces, positive forces, negative forces. And they are called as restraining forces, driving forces. So E is also determined by P. P is also determined by E. Please note. So, and now, sorry. Now, to predict behavior, one must know total psychological field, psychological facts, like what is there in the C, what is there in the P, how many regions are there, how many subregions are there, what is the goal is coming and sitting here. Once need is arising here, goal is coming and sitting in the environment. To achieve these goals, these forces of restraining force or encouraging force is here, driving force here. That is nothing but the vector. Valency, repulsion, and attraction towards that goal is here. This interplay will drive us. Right? All regions are alike. Unlike C and P, there is difference in these two. So you have not only know what is central cell, what are peripheral cells, what are the regions, subregions, vector forces, valencies. This is unified field. So goal I already told, because time is, you can read it. Second goal is in the region of valence. Please remember this one. Don't try to tell, don't write need here, goal here in the inner person. Write in the psychological environment. Right? Where it is there in the valence region. You have to see the goal. While reading this, you have to understand these diagrams like that. Then coming back to barriers are there, that we will explain later, the resisting forces. Valence is there for attraction and repulsion. This is positive valence which fulfill your need, otherwise which reduces the tension. There is negative valence which increases the tension or opposes or threatens. So vector is the force, determines the direction of the movement here. Actually, here we can see the. Now coming to this, there will be conflict here. The state of tension, two opposing desires are there. Suppose you want to eat, you don't want to eat. You want to eat sweet or you want to eat car, there is a conflict. Then which vector is pulling more you? Which vector means? Vector means force. Please remember that one. There will be arrow for that. For valence, there will be no arrow. For vector, there will be arrow. The point where it is touching is the place where that force is acting. It gives direction and the point of action. Then in that direction, resultant direction, person will be moving. Where the more vector is there in these opposite, that if equally balanced vectors are operating, it leads to the conflict. Same we discussed in the Dollar-Miller conflict, positive approach. This is what taken by Dollar and Miller from Levin. Okay, now we are already discussing there. So these boundaries are having certain thickness and the shape. Shape is immaterial, but thickness makes the difference. Here he says that this connectivity, in terms of connectivity, these boundaries taste whether they are penetratable or not penetratable. Depending on that, connectivity will be established. So depending on that boundaries, we are differentiating regions and the subregions, cells and the subcells, or the peripheral central cells, not subcells, sorry. So here, in these regions, three important things we have to consider: nearness and remoteness dimension. Here, if they are close together, they will be influencing more. If they are apart, these regions are apart, related regions are apart, then our action will be less intense or weak. Second one is firmness and the weakness. It tells in terms of the width of the boundary. Width is thicker, then there is resistance. If it is thin, then there is a more communication. Fluidity and rigidity, depending on the environment, it responds. Fluid or elastic, non-elastic. Hull we have already discussed. Hull and environment. If you see hull and environment, hull and ER, this, even we go by this hull and environment are communicating. E and hull are communicating. P and E are communicating. Please remember, P and hull are not directly communicating. While writing, please take care of these important things. So hull and E, boundary is permeable. There is big communication. So hull is the one which influences your needs. Even hull, external, social and physical environment, hull can bring radical or slow or profound changes in our life space. That is E plus P. Hull and P, hull cannot communicate directly. Number one is contact is not there. Second one, there should be a fact in, he says that there should be fact in E. Whatever need is arisen here, in order to achieve it, for and against forces are here, that fact should come and sit here. Then only you can communicate. Through P and this P and E will be coming. Environment. Hull and E will be communicated through E. Through E, we have to communicate through E, P and E. So how P and E are communicated? Because mutual boundaries that it happens, mutually dependent, one will be other. So two functions are there. P is function of E, E is function of P. So person will decide the psychological environment. Psychology is determined by the P. This is equations. Dynamics of personality, very briefly I try to explain. There is a need. From that need, the energy releases. Simultaneously, two things are released. Tension is released and the energy is released. Once these are released, the tension will be more in the regions of our need. Then there will be equilibrium among the cells and the cells in the inner person and the regions in the psychological environment. Our goal is bringing the equilibrium. Then certain processes are initiated in order to realize your need, including the thinking, planning, and decision making. All this problem solving will be there. For that, there will be valency, whether this need is attracted by you or repelled by you. Positive or negative force, negative attitude will be here. Then comes the vector force, whether driving force or restraining force will be acting on the head. Here, the barrier will be there. This is called as the barrier. What acts on the barrier? Restraining force will be acting on the barrier. Opposite to each vector, driving force is there. This driving force, restraining, which power is more? If driving power is more, force is more, goal will become positive. Driving force is less, it will become negative. Right? This is how it happens. So needs are nothing but the motivations. The needs, there could be quasi needs also. Quasi needs are specific. where to go, which hotel to go, which items to eat. This is specific or called as quasi needs. That increases, tension is increased. Once this need arises, the tension is increased in the IP. See this diagram. It is a dynamic process. It is what it is creating, this tension in the cognitive process like perceiving, remembering, recalling, thinking. Then releases energy, right? Now need is in P connected to the energy to address the equilibrium. Both are in the same inner person. Now initiates a processes to ensure equality in tension or equilibrium to establish in the IP, these regions. Then once this equilibrium is established, it invokes valency and vector, valency and vector in this E. This is E, entire thing is E. Valency is positive or negative, valency is here. Dog fear is there could be negative valency. Food, desirable food is there, this could be positive valency. You are already full, your stomach is full, then there will be neutral valency. Right? If more disgusting is there, you are overeaten, then what happens? Negative valency. You can't eat further, right? Negative valency. So fully, it is full and you don't want to further eat, it will normal satiation is there, it will become neutral. So this is how the life force, the functioning will be taking place. The actions are taken in the motor system. Physical actions are taken in the motor system. So initiate the psychological process. We have already seen vectors and valence. Also we have seen valence is value of the region in we already discussed here E and P. Restraining forces create barrier. Driving forces will try to be favorable environment restraining. What vector or the force gives? Strength, direction, point of action. You see, this is a vector. Arrow is there. Arrow means vector. If arrow is showing means it is vector. Please remember this is a fundamental point in the geometrical representation of the vectors. Then we have seen two opposing desires are equally balanced vectors. Result is conflict. Locomotion is the path you take from inner P to perception of the motor system and to the physical environment and hull. How this process is going on is discussed as a path. This is a path. Please remember it is a path. Then once it is achieved, tension is reduced and the equilibrium is established. You are in the state of satiation. This is need we have discussed. So we have to take care of another unit. So representation, path, tension, we have seen life space also we discussed. Persons in the life space affecting the pulls and pushes. We already say barriers are there, valency is there, vector is there. They are acting in the life space. The mathematical equation B is function of E. P is function of E. E is function of P. Behavior is function of both. P means person, E means psychological environment. Please don't write a physical environment here. You will lose marks. So analysis begins with the situation as a whole in which all parts are understood. First, he says that you have to understand this boundary first. What are the elements outside, inside this, nearer to this boundary you have to see. This is the first task in the analysis of the situation. Then development of the personality. So personality, as we grow, different action. He has not taken the age-wise process. He says how the development of this personality takes place. In terms of the tasks, he says that variety of tasks and behaviors one undertakes as the age grows, and the organization of these tasks will be changing, whether it is regions or cells or P or C, region or sub-region, all these will be changing because our basic assumption is that unified field is flowing, constantly flowing while changing slightly, every part dependent on others. So this is how we discussed about the development, and then extension of new areas will be coming. Generally with the age, they will be getting differentiated depending on the need or the fear or cognition requirement. Sometimes they get integrated our activities. Sometimes you take more activities, sometimes less activities. The age is determined, and more hierarchy is established with the age. There could be because of the changing fluctuations will be there. So degree of realism is less imaginary with the more reality prevails rather than the fancies and the imagination with the age. So he discussed about the field elements, concepts like the P, inner P, outer P, inner P cells, inner P peripheral cells, inner P central cells, E, psychological environment, its regions, subregions, valency, vector, for and against aspects. That depending on that, he gave the personality development. But please remember, it changes. Personality development changes with the field construct. What is learning? We simple definition is changing the construct in the field is nothing but learning. There will be differentiation between one part to the other part. There will be integration and organizational interdependence will be there, and the stages of development not focused, but regression as a defense mechanism will be there. Suppose you are somebody scolds you, you become childlike and weeping or get angry and throwing things at the manager. In UGC net, this question is generally asked. A person, employee goes to the officer and then officer did not give the promotion. Employee goes and shouts at the manager and throws the paperweight on the face of the manager. What is this defense mechanism? Okay. So steps is situation is mathematically represented, and then there is a boundary. First step is investigating fact in the boundary of the life force. What is there outside the L? There is E. What is this boundary E and P? These boundary elements first you have to that enable you to possibility, non-possible achievement or the task fulfillment in the current moment. What is the next step? Task is structural differentiation. Otherwise, in order to explain you, first try to understand here. First to understand this, what are the elements within this boundary, just outside, just inside. Then go for differentiation here and differentiation here. Second step. First step is boundary. Around that, what are they ready to act? What is possible, not possible immediately? Can this person become IAS? Can the person go out to achieve it? Will he beat that person or not? Will he accomplish a particular task or not? Analysis depends on current movement is potentialities here. Then is a differentiation inner man and the inner psychological environment. This is about the limitation is beginners very difficult to understand. Geometrical and the mathematical and the scientific explanation is there. He did not focus more on the heredity and mutation genetic influences, but of course, so scant reference was given. And then the major contribution in order to say what is the nature of psychology, somebody asks you, somebody writes that it is a science, somebody writes the art. Ultimately, if you, so those who write that nature of psychology is science, scientific subject, then you have to invariably mention Kurt Lewin and Kelly and then Cattell. They're all highly scientific theories they have given. Very systematic scientific representation, equations they have given, right? So this is about the unified theory of Lewin. So I think a very difficult task seems to be. I think I made it more clear. Read once or twice, understand with the help of the pictures. Just to prepare this, I took 2 days. Just to prepare this, I took 2 days.
No wonder, because it is excellent.
Thank you very much. So read and read it. Everything is self-explicit in that. Visualize the flow of the thing. One thing I will tell you, in the page number, in the same book,
170.
173, I think somewhere they have written. I will read for your purpose, for your understanding. Yeah, I will write. What is the path a person takes? Entire field. What is the path we will see now, right? Here I am reading it. Let us see first specific path. The person will transcribe moving through his or her psychological environment. For example, a child passes a candy store, meaning what is that? Hull, physical hull, external environment. He looks at the window and wish to have some candy. Here, wish means need. Where it is being generated? Let me explain you with the help of this simple way. Here, if you see, hull is creating, he has seen sweet shop. You want candy. That candy need is generated in the IP. Wish. Then the sight of the candy arouses the need, right? In the inner P. Then the need does three things. It releases energy, thereby arouses tension in IP. This need arousal creating tension in terms of these regions, disequilibrium it is creating, and also energy is released for that accomplishment. The release of energy therefore arouses the tension in inner personal regions. That candy wanting region is created. It confers a positive valence. Now I want for this positive valence is here, right? Now he wants to have it. He had decided not to reject it. Repulsion is there, attraction is there. Once that valence is created, that region in which candy is located. Where is the candy? Here, where is the candy here? Can anybody tell? Actual candy location is in the hull.
Hull.
But need is generated in IP.
IP.
This need as a goal of candy is located here. Where it is located? Can anybody tell? I already discussed where it is. This need in the
E,
IP.
sir.
Pardon? Need is coming into this environment, psychological environment. Valence is there positive. Where that need is here. It is where it is sitting. In the form of
Tell
goal.
Form of goal.
pardon, ma'am?
In the
Goals.
form of goal.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. You could pursue it excellently. No? This
Yes.
is coming and getting as a goal. That goal is having positive attraction here. Positive valence is there. Now comes the valence force. Come on, do it. Here barriers are there. Somebody is obstructing you. This force is there. Now you see. And it creates a force that pushes the child in the direction of the candy. We told that force is having a arrow. This arrow will be having a direction, strength, and point of action. Some point it will be acting. That's how this action is there. This arrow will be acting here. That's how this is H. This is how Butter Levin is understood. Hope you got it. Okay, read it. And now we will go for another unit. This I will try to break this and show the sharing. For now, we will go for, I will open. Yes, it is simple one. I have been listening to this unit. Now we see Carl Rogers. Let me more. Okay. Now Carl Rogers. humanistic theory of personality. It is also called as Rogers personality theory or self theory of personality or person-centered theory. It is based on humanism. Is highly influenced by Adler. We already discussed about them. The Adler is psychoanalyst. He focused on the self-striving earlier, and then striving for the personality, realizing his potential, everybody's potential, which is what purpose this perfection, what it takes care, it creates the ideal self, realizing the ideal self, self-ideal, imagination, called it friction. For that, there will be, this is created by a creative self, and your lifestyles or style of the life plans to achieve that with the help of integrating social and personal goal achievement. Satisfying them. This is what influencing him more. Then coming back is childhood experience, how they molded. He is a fourth child. His brother is to bully him. Mother is to give him conditional love only. If you do that, then only food is given. If you get first mark, then only food is given. Like that, conditional love is given. So with this conditional love, he felt that his self is not developing. It is obstructed by those conditionalities. When I am free, then only I develop more, and my self develops, my worth develops, my esteem develops, self-esteem develops. This is what created impression in him. Both mother and brother made him to think about the unconditional love, unconditional regard. He says this unconditional regard, if you do that only I will love you, is not good in any relationship. There should be unconditional love and regard. This is what he emphasizes in entire theory. So then actually he's interested in agriculture and becoming a religious person, but subsequently he did clinical psychology and then educational psychology, and he worked in guidance centers, counseling centers, and he studied many persons who are not well, psychologically not well, who are distressed. He studied more. That's why there is a difference between method of study between Maslow and Carl Rogers. Maslow studied highly successful people, whereas both have given the humanistic theory of personality development. Maslow concentrated more on the needs, but Rogers concentrated more on the self-regard need, self-actualization need. He also concentrated on the needs, but he studied more ill persons. He had studied more well persons and successful persons. So study of phenomenology, here he studied more on the experiences. Now what every person should be understood by understanding their experiences. What are there in the phenomenology? In the phenomenology, there are three elements. Once you experience something, you perceive something, you experience it and give meaning to that. In that experience, there are three elements. There is valuation is there, and it is doing continuous valuation in terms of the experience. Where it is happening? It is happening in the human organism. Human being as a whole, Gestalt principle adopted as a whole, you have to study. He studied many distressed persons, he studied many incongruent persons, meaning who are not realized their self. He studied them. Whereas here, self-realization, who is having those people are studied. He adopted a methodology, a mathematical methodology, survey method and everything. Quantitatively, he studied the preferences and qualitatively the preferences rating scale. I think 11-point rating scale he used. His preferences about the life, regard, love, and other things. And quantitatively used the data and applied factor analysis. Both systems, both types of data he has taken. Famous book is On Becoming a Person, also Way of Being. He was nominated for Nobel Prize for his humanistic approach of the psychology in the South Africa and American internal conflicts. So humanistic approach thinks that human beings are, he rejected the psychoanalysis of point rate and behavioral analysis of reinforcements and the punishments, psychoanalysis of inner psychic conflicts, and then felt that human being is intelligent, rational, self-regulating, choice-making, free will, and this we want require he always require dignity, recognition, dignity, irrespective of your caste, creed, religion. Every person requires dignity, human dignity. These are the basic elements of then creativity, selflessness, high levels of spiritual are part of the humanism. Person is center of the study, but not the rewards and punishment is quotation. And human nature, how he understood this human nature is human being optimistic, rational, conscious, he can live in the present moment, he is ready to, all positive attributes he have taken. More criticism on him is more idealistically positive. 100% positive you have taken. They are not taking negative elements of a person. So he is on par with what man is good, entirely. So then he has a free will to choose, and he feels responsible for his activities, not attribute them to the others. And in times of need, he regulates his behavior. This is how he studied. And the both studied, Rogers and Maslow studied self-actualization. There he called them self-actualization. Here he fully functioning person, self-actualized person, and they are called self-actualized SAP. Here he called fully functioning person, FFP. But Maslow studied successful people, and Rogers studied failed people, and Maslow has not concentrated on the environment more. Rogers says that favorable environment is must to become a successful person. This is what parents and education and government should create. This is what he says. Okay, coming to the organism, is concept of organism. Just 1 minute, I will go back. What we are going to study is humanistic approach, that all positive elements of human being, free will to regulation and responsibility, and the assumptions about the human nature, structure of the personality, human being as an organism, meaning as a whole we have to study. This is the organism in which all these 2, 3, 4 are happening. In this phenomenal field means it depends on the experiences. That means subjective. So experience means individual only. You study individual, not group here. Ideographic. If you study group, it is called as nomothetic, right? What are requirements in this phenomenal field? What one needs? What are the innate needs? Requirement for unconditional positive regard and self-worth. These are the basic needs of individual, innate needs of individual. Once respect, regard is given to the love is given unconditionally to a person, and empathy is given to the person, its self-worth increases. He tries to realize his idealized self. It is a continuous process, achieving your full potentiality. Don't think that at the age of, after retirement only self-actualized person happens. No, it is a continuous process. Passing 10th class with a 90% marks. This idea, you have an ideal self, goal that you have realized, then it is self-actualized. Then you want to marry a girl who understands you, you achieve, then it is self-actualized event. So it is a continuous event, continuous analysis, continuous process will be there in the entire life process. So then there is organism versus self. Always we will be comparing our ideal self with the real self, and that when they are equal, both are equal. That means when you do Venn diagrams, if concurrence of these two is more, then we call it as congruence. If little common place, common areas are there, common achievements are there, as ideal expected here in the ideal self, then it is incongruent. Congruence leads to fully functioning for self-actualization. Incongruence leads to psychopathology. So what are the dynamics, how it functions, and then development of personality we'll discuss. If the time permits, we'll see the therapy also. So humanism, we see, he developed a now. What is happening here? This now discuss the organism is a organic unified field, not sorry. That is unified field in terms of Kutlevin. Here phenomenal field in terms of experience. Right? This phenomenal field is also changing. Unified field also changing there. He talked in terms of there, he talked in terms of self. He also talked in terms of self. So inherent motivational system is there, regulatory system is there in the organism. So this, what is that we are achieving here? Psychological needs and the physiological needs. Actualization of what? These two needs. Arousal of need is continuous process. That one has to utilize his full potential and develop the actualization tendencies, means behavior. Towards that, certain behaviors are expected. The psychological concepts are expected. What are they? We'll see. So this tendency to actualization, just 1 minute. So, this is innate motivational drive will be there. What purpose? Innate motivation. Please remember this one. To realize his full potential. So when favorable environment is there, you will achieve it. Unfavorable means those who are not giving you respect unconditionally and not showing the empathy, then there will be incongruence. Then
Sir, one question, sorry to interrupt.
please, ma'am.
Can you scroll a little bit up, sir?
Okay.
A little more. Here we have a personality structure mainly focused on two constructs. A little bit down, sir. Organism and self.
Yeah.
So organism is not presented in one self as such, or it should be looked into different dynamics.
Self is, we will come to self. It is part of organism. Organism will be evaluating its experience and creating the process. There is a process we will come to. There is the organism. This organism is having its inbuilt process of evaluating and creating the self. In the next slide, we will come.
Oh.
This is organism as a person, and these are these elements in that we will see that what is there in that. The person phenomenal field we are studying again. Here, individual motivation is there. And from the environment, it says learning process is there since the childhood. Here he focused more on the parental unconditional love. Parental unconditional love. So what is phenomenon? I already told, there is a perception for you. You experience it and give the meaning it, and the positive, negative evaluation will be there, and organizing that in your self. How you organize, we will see now. Then person experience is always subjective, meaning you interpret according to your understanding, not to the actual reality. It may be correct, it may not be correct. So proper understanding, he says that authentic understanding is required. In order to create your actual self, you have to have authentic analysis, not a socially desirable influence should not be there in you. So once this motivation is coming internally regarding the physical and physiological need, environmentally you are learning from others, learning from society, teaching, then you are creating certain image about, understanding about yourself and others. How others understanding you, you understand. How you are understanding yourself, you understand. This creates the self. What is that process? We will see that. Now here, what contribute to this self-concept? This self-concept comes from parental attitude towards us, our early environment, and our beliefs we hold about ourselves, and perception of others, external world, internal world, our early environment in our brought up. These three, the learning, what you learn, it will create the self.
Sir, can you increase the font size? Particularly the next slide is too small. Yeah.
So this is how we attribute the, so whatever experience you have about yourself and the other people, objects and other things, what you are doing is, this is very important, organismic valuing process. This OVP, very important. This process, pros and cons about you and others, how others view yourself. These aspects are forming this self. There is a concept, self-concept is formed about all your cognitive elements, emotional elements, and behavior. It is changing. He also says that phenomenal field is changing, right? Because of the changing phenomenal field, our behavior comes out. It also changes. So we have already studied about method. Then early environment, unconditional positive regard, and organic valuing process will create the self. So basically, say initially in two basic needs are self, positive, unconditional positive regard, and self-worth. I am a valuable person. When mother gives him importance, then it creates a self-worth in him. This is what he says. Then it creates your confidence or inferiority depending on how mother is giving you value to you. This is what self-worth is. Self-worth includes the how you value and your self-esteem also, as per Rogers. Okay. So this from this experience we create good or bad, desirable, undesirable, positive. All these polarities are coming. Evaluation ultimately creates what type of person you are, what is your ideal self, what you want to achieve in your life, where you are now to in vis-a-vis the ideal person, what you want to be, what are your psychological and physiological needs you want to achieve, what is that importance you are giving. That everything is determined through your experiences with respect to these people and creating yourself, and to promote yourself in terms of actualizing your potentialities, right? There are certain tendencies you develop. In the process, yourself develops certain tendencies. He called them 19 tendencies he had given. They are called as self-actualization tendencies. So self-actualization, positive are the basic needs. Requirements are unconditional positive regard from the parents or the teachers or the friends, or he says more so with the important persons in your life, right? So he had given the quotation, organism has one basic tendency and striving to actualize. Basic tendency and striving, actualization tendency to, for what purpose? To actualize your goals, enhance that need or achievement, and promote it, maintain it. Achieve, maintain, promote. These three are part of the self-actualization. What are that you have to achieve? Your self. What are two? Psychological needs and physiological. So basic needs you have unconditional positive regard is there. Then it opens your mind. You become unconditional, open mind, and take the path of self-realization towards the achieving your. If no need for positive regard is there, self-actualization, need for positive regard. If it is here it given unconditional, here conditional positive regard. Mother is giving condition, parents are giving, teacher is giving, friends are giving, your mama is giving, elder, your grandparents are making it everything conditional. Then there will be discrepancies in your self-formation about your capacities, your value system. Need for self-action, positive or potential. So self-theory I have already discussed. Self-worth. There will be you will be creating a self, what you are presently, how you see yourself as a person now. Are you a good person, bad person, performing person, non-performing person, capable person, not capable person? There is self-image. But this is subjective. It could be wrong. There is ideal person, what you want to be in future. But ideal self and the self-image in the current moment, what you are, when you compare, they are nearer. It gives a congruence and feeling of achievement, satisfaction. If there is a difference, you will be failing. Similarly, the self-image, vis-a-vis your experience is creating about a self. You are creating an image which may be perverted or it may be exaggerated, which is not real because it is subjective aspect. But this experience, when you see with authenticity, the point is missing here. The authenticity, really what you are, you have to be open-minded and realistic. There you compare actually your experience-based self with the self-image. If it is also congruent, you will become self-actualized. If they are not sync, because you are not authentic or honest in evaluating, organismic value system is faulted, meaning you are not a self-actualized person, even though you project yourself as a great person or achieved person. So congruency meaning nearer to the what you want it to be, nearer to the what your real self, present self, perceived self versus experience. Okay, all this gives you the self-worth. Self-worth promote you to have the self-actualization behaviors. Okay, this is what happens. So here, what you imagine, what you are, your experience is what you are here, but what you are seeing is different. Your self-image is different. So this is how we make difficulty in actualizing proper. Congruence I have given. So another 3 minutes are there. What facilitate genuineness and then unconditional positive regard and empathy. Empathy means my feeling. When I understand others' feeling, they should be in sync. I also should feel the same thing. Otherwise, putting your feet in the shoes of the others. The feeling is in sync there. So these all make you self-actualized person. Okay, coming to the fully functioning person, what are the characteristics are? In brief, it is you become aware of all your experiences and evaluate them genuinely, authentically. There is also authenticity, also it is called as. Then there will be fresh openness to your experiences, trust your behavior and feelings, and you have a freedom to change. If at all inhibitions or something is there, some deficiency are there, take choice or your will to change them, and you will do it. Self-actualized person will do it, and they have creativity, spontaneity, and they have growth mindset. Otherwise, continual need for growth. These are the basic 6 elements generally asked in the examination. Dynamics of the personality, 19 propositions they had given. So all what we have discussed, they have given in these 19 points. It is there in the book also. So person-centric therapy thinks that it is talk therapy. It is non-directive, means the client is very important. Empathy should be there. Authenticity should be here. Authenticity means you have to understand the person as it is without influence of your perceptions. That is very, very important. Also, empathy, use certain techniques like paraphrasing is expressions and binorium. Once you give unconditional positive respect and regard, he will understand it. And then he thinks that what is lacking in his childhood, now he is getting it, so that he becomes convinced that my respect is what due respect is given, and he gets open, slowly open, and accept his problem, takes responsibility. And he says that there are 7 stages. He initially refuses to change. He thinks that others are at fault for his problem. Slowly he changes. In 7 steps, he changes. It is not there in the book. It is person-centric therapy. Slowly he becomes actualized, means he thinks that I am a failure. There are problems. I have to take ownership of it. Now I have to take productive action and then realize myself. This is openness, free will, responsibility, self-regulation. The points of humanism are wrapped in here. So he becomes a self-actualized person. So here the criticism is too much focused on the positive elements of human being very much optimistic, promoted self-love so that people can become narcissistic in this theory. Did not appreciate the evil part or negative part of the human. But he contributed a lot, and even people say that he deserves Nobel Prize for his not only theory but also his activities in promoting the peace with the humanistic elements. This is about a very small theory, very simple theory about your experience and your self-evaluative system, and then forming yourself and creating self-worth, recognizing your due regard is, respect is given or not, empathy is given or not. Depending on that, you will be creating, doing certain activities and creating the real self and the ideal self. If congruent, you are self-actualized. If not, you are not a self-actualized person. But what is required in environmental support is what is not given by the Maslow. Just asking. So this is the theory of person-centric personality development. Okay, time is over. Let us next week we'll see another I think next week is the last week. So we are having another 5 elements. We will cover them in the next week. Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow we are having 2 theories. Okay, sorry. Tomorrow we are
yeah.
having two theories.
Yes.
After that, we will, if time is left, we will review all at a time. But it's
Yeah.
brief. Thank you.
Thank you.